Welcome to your queer history lesson, or as I like to call it, RTE Homo School Hub, with me, your teacher, Shane Daniel Byrne. Today, we're talking about the ballrooms, darling. And I don't know why you're gagging so. She bring it to you every lesson. You know voguing, you know how to throw shade, and you know that having someone shout, "Yes, Queen," can be the highest form of hype you will ever receive. But did you know that these actions and phrases that have made their way into popular culture, along with so many others, can all be accredited to the 1980s underground New York ballroom scene of the black and Latin queer and trans subculture? New York City, often called the birthplace of drag culture, is reportedly home to the first ever queer masquerade ball in 1869. It was hosted in the Hamilton Lodge in Harlem. This is where the deep-rooted heritage of ballroom culture that continued through the 1920s begins. By the 1970s and 80s, progress was being made for Western LGBTQ+ equality, following events like the Stonewall Riots or Stonewall Uprising of 1969. And let's not forget, that was instigated by trans and lesbian women of colour. Drag began to take on a new life in the Harlem ballroom scene. Black queens like Crystal LaBeija and Paris Dupree carved out a space for queer and trans people of colour who had been overshadowed even within the LGBTQ+ culture. These extravagant pageants were a place of self-love and experimentation, but they were also a very structured form of fierce competition. These balls had different categories of competition based on performances, costumes, catwalks, and the famous voguing, which was a form of fight or battle with an opponent where you had to outdo their poses. Different houses were established to compete against one another. Each house was structured like a family, with a head of house, known as the mother or father, providing support and guidance for the younger members, their children, and the houses often served as chosen families for those who had faced hostility from their own. Ballroom developed its own rich and vibrant language that was used throughout these competitions. Phrases like work, realness, throwing shade, and dance styles like dipping and voguing that have been appropriated by mainstream media can all be traced back to the ballroom scene, which is predominantly made up of trans people of colour, and sadly, they are often overlooked for credit.
RTE, proud to stand, proud to party.
See rte.ie/pride.